let's go to this one. Here I have some functions that we are going to match with the modal verbs that we have here, okay? So I want you to help me. For example, when you expect that something happened, which of them do you think you need to use? When you expect something, or that something happened, or someone to do something, which of these modal verbs do you think we can use?
Be supposed to.
Be supposed to, right? Very good. Any other? Any other?
Ought to? Ought to?
Ought to? Not
Yes.
exactly.
Not
No.
exactly. Okay. Mhm.
No, it's the only one, right? We don't have any
Yes.
other
Uh-huh.
modal
No.
verb that can express this. Okay, let's
Yes.
talk about rules, obligations, but these are external obligations, the ones that you don't you don't set for yourself. External obligations. Which of them do you think we can use?
And must have to.
Must.
Ought to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Had, have,
can't.
can't. Okay.
And see, can't.
So we can use can in the affirmative way, can't in the negative, be allowed to, must, and have to. And also be not allowed to, okay? So these are some modal verbs that we can use when we are talking about external obligations. For example, in a place, in a library, in a supermarket, these are external obligations, right? Then we have obligations that are personal, the ones that we think we need to do, okay? So which modal verbs do you think we can use for personal obligations?
Ought to.
Ought to and should.
Also and should.
Okay. We use should or ought to. For example, I should do my homework, or I ought to study for my test. Okay. Then we have advice. Which of them do we use for advice?
Should better?
Should better. Okay. Any other ideas? Which other can we use for advice?
Can.
Should better? Just should better?
Should better. That's what I said. Mhm.
Just should better. We
Should
use for
better.
advice, we use should and ought to. The same that we use for personal obligations. Okay, should and ought to. And when we want to give a strong advice, we use should
Must.
better.
Should better and must.
Should better we use. Okay, when we say
What about
must,
must? But must is a strong.
yes, but es más que todo una orden cuando uno dice must.
Yeah.
You must
Claro,
do
es
this.
en orden.
It's a strong advice. Okay. Something important about these modal verbs. What form of the verbs do we use after modal verbs? How can we use the verbs after modal verbs? ¿Cómo utilizamos los verbos después de los modal? Any idea?
With ing.
With ing? Okay. Anybody else?
Basic form.
Again, please.
Basic form.
In the base form. Yes. We never use the verbs in the ing or in the to plus infinitive with modal verbs. We always use modal verbs, and after the modal verbs, we use the base form of the verb. We don't conjugate the verbs after modal verbs. For example, if we have a third person, we never say, for example, you can read, or she can read, sorry. She can read, or he can read. Okay? Or we don't say, you must, I don't know. We don't change the verb, okay? We don't write it in the third person, and it's always in the base form. Never to. Never. Don't use to after modal verbs, okay? Jamás, por ejemplo, He escuchado muchas personas que dicen, you can to go. ¿Ok? Jamás podemos utilizar un to después de un modal verb o un ing o cualquier otro verbo. El verbo siempre, siempre, siempre debe ir en la forma base. ¿Ok? Tengan mucho en cuenta eso para que no cometamos ese error. ¿Ok? So, let's go to the book. Here we have some examples. Jessica?
Teacher, good morning. Excuse me. In this case, the have to isn't a modal verb, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So, in exercise number 4 on page 23, it says, look at the underlined sentences from 1 to 5 on the text on page 22. Which functions does each sentence express? We need to write A for advice, A for advice, E for expectation, and O for obligation. Okay, so let's read the sentences. He explained, number 1, he explained that in New York, the tip ought to be 20%. So what do you think is this? Is advice, expectation, or obligation?
Advice.
Advice, right? Okay, because we use ought to for advice, right? Number 2, you better give him 20%.
The same.
Advice, but this is a strong advice. Remember, we use should better when we give a strong advice. Okay, and number 3, it's what you are supposed to do here.
Expectation.
Expectation, right? What about this one? You are not allowed to cross here.
Obligation.
Obligation, external obligation, right? You have to cross the street at a crosswalk.
Obligation.
This is also obligation, right? External obligations. Very good. Let's move to the next examples. Here we have some examples on advice, strong advice, expectation, personal obligation, and external obligations or rules, okay? For example, can you read sentence number 1, please, Luis Salazar?
Oh. You should. You should ought to take a pill for your
Headache.
headache.
Okay. You should or you ought to take a pill for your headache. Okay, so we can use should or ought to when we want to give advice. And number 2, please, Eden.
I take a pill if I were you.
Yes, generally we use this kind of conditional when we want to give advice to. If I were you, I'd take a pill. I would take a pill, or we can say, right? Con condicional también podríamos ocupar would si utilizamos el if, o también podríamos decir, yo tomaría una píldora, una pastilla, una tableta. I'd take a pill, right? Okay. I want you to think in one advice you can give your partners, okay, about anything using should, ought to, or would, maybe. You can use would with a conditional sentence. What kind of advice can you give to your partners? What can you tell your partners? Think about it. A piece of advice that you can give to your partner. For example, you should wear a jacket today. It's very cold. Or you should wear a sweater. It's very cold outside, right? Any other advice that you can give?
Or maybe with the food.
Mm-hmm.
For these days, you should eat warm food.
Okay.
Not, I mean boiled food, not not a lettuce, not a tomato, because they are not cooked.
Okay, very good. You should eat, or you ought to eat, boiled food.
Boiled
Good.
food. Mhm.
Joel, please.
You should better have a mask when you go out.
Okay, yes, this is a strong advice. You should better.
Have a mask.
Okay, you can say wear. You should better wear a mask.
Where?
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Yes, this is for strong advice, right? You should better, or you'd better. Remember, if you contract this, you need to pronounce well the D. You'd better buy your plane ticket right away. You'd better not make noise. Any other strong advice that you can give to your partners?
You should better disinfect your hands before you enter to your house.
Very good. Disinfect your hands before enter to your house. Any other advice? We can say you should better study for the test. Okay, this is a strong advice from your teacher. You should better study for your test, right? What about expectations? Something that we expect your partners to do. Okay, for example, you are supposed to leave the waiter a tip. For example, I can say you are supposed to attend the classes. You are supposed to do your homework, right? What about?
Oh, you can say you were supposed to wait for me at the store or at the pharmacy.
Very good. We can use the verb to be in the past too. You were supposed to wait for me, right? Okay, very good. What about personal obligations? Something that you say to yourself, I should, or I ought to do this. Okay, for example, here we have, I should or ought to visit my grandparents this weekend. Something that it's personal. What do you think?
Teacher, it can be I should to do all my homework on Saturday.
Recuerde que no ocupamos should con to, solo ought to, allow to, and supposed to. Después todos los
Should
demás, no, okay?
should do
Yes, I should do.
all my homework on Saturday.
Yes, I should do all my homework on Saturday. Jessica?
I ought to concentrate a lot of to make my homework this weekend.
To do my homework this weekend, yes. Very good. What about external obligations? Rules that we have, for example, in the supermarket, in a public place, in a library, in the church, I don't know, external obligations. We can use can, can't, have to, must, allowed to, or you are not allowed to. Okay? For example, you can park over there. You can't cross the street here. You have to or you must cross at the crosswalk. You are allowed to vote at the age of 18, or you are not allowed to turn left here. What other rules come to your mind?
You can
Yes?
you can smoke in this area.
You can or you can't.
You can't smoke in this area.
Okay, you can't smoke in this area. Very good. Any other ideas?
You can't turn off your camera in the class.
Mhm.
during the class.
Yes, very good. You
You
can.
can't or you are not allowed
Mhm.
to turn off your camera.
To turn off your camera. Okay. For example, you can't arrive late after 7:15, right? You can't. You are not allowed to enter to the class after 7:15, right? Okay, very good. And we have these two verbs, or these two, yes, verbs that we can use too. Okay, prohibited or forbidden, to talk about rules in more formal English, okay, or written English. For example, driving while using your cell phone is strictly prohibited or is strictly forbidden. Está prohibido. Ok, entonces las dos palabras significan exactamente lo mismo. Do you know any rule that is forbidden or any activity that is forbidden or prohibited? Any ideas?
Keeping the streets after 11 p.m. in Santa Cruz is strictly prohibited.
Prohibited, yes.
Prohibited.
Prohibited, prohibited. Okay, very good. Good. Let's practice with the exercises that we have here on page 116. We are going to choose only one of them to do, and after that, we are going to continue with the lesson, and you are going to do the other. Forbidden is a verb in the past participle form. Okay. Let's go to exercise number 2 on page 116. Okay. Complete the sentences with the words in the box. Use the correct form and add any words you need. Here we have allowed to, not, or have to, better not, ought to, can't, supposed to, forbidden, and have to. Okay. Number 1. You late or your father will be very angry. What can you say here?
You have to.
You have to arrive late?
You'd better not be.
Okay, you'd better not, right? You'd better not, or you better, what can we say? You'd better
Not be late.
not be late, right? You'd better not be late. Okay, yes, very good. Vamos a escribir la oración.
Could be can, teacher.
Again.
Could be can.
You can't be late. But is this a rule? I don't know if it is a rule in your house. You can use can't, right? Number 2, you put your password in to get into your account. You can't access it without it. Yes, you have to, right? Very good. Number 3, the use of barbecue grills inside the apartment is
Not allowed?
it's not allowed. Okay, any other ideas?
It's forbidden.
Forbidden, we can say forbidden, right? The word we can use not allow is not allowed. Number 4, I totally forgot I'd be in a meeting later this afternoon. Maybe someone else can go.
Oh, two.
Okay.
I am supposed to.
Yes, I am supposed to. Yes, we can use I ought to if it is a personal obligation, but if the meeting is, for example, in your job, it's not personal, right? It's something external. So we are going to write supposed to. I am supposed to be in a meeting later. And number 5, good news. They've changed the rules on calculators. Now we use them on the economics exam.
Are allowed to?
Yes, we are allowed to use them, right? We are allowed to use them in economics exam. Number 6, you can't, right? Very good. You can't play ball near the windows.
You might.
You might break one. Number 7, we really introduced Sam to our group. He is new here.
Oh, to?
O2, right? This is something not more personal, right? We really ought to introduce Sam. Number 8, we get up early tomorrow. It's a holiday.
Don't have to.
We don't have to, right? It's not necessary. So we don't have to get up early tomorrow. It's a holiday. Very good. So let's move on. We're going to come back to the page 23. So here we have an exercise number 1. Do it so you can practice this. And if you have any questions, we are going to solve it next class, okay? Let's go to page 23. Here we have some pronunciation exercises.